Them releasing Le'Veon Bell was the final straw, and I'm going to rip my hair out.
Okay,
right?
but before you even start that, last week, keep in mind, you ripped the Yankees. So this week now
Oh,
you're ripping the Jets. So
oh,
I don't know where you stand with your teams
my
anymore.
whole sports fandom is in like complete
He's tearing
destruction.
through New York. I love it.
Right? First off, I'm going to blame Donnie Trump for hiring Woody Johnson to go over to the UK and leaving his brother in charge, who doesn't know his ass from his elbow, probably doesn't even know the first thing about football, and hiring Adam Gase. They hired Adam Gase over Matt Rule. Travis could speak about Matt Rule quickly. Over Cliff Kingsbury, over Mike McCarthy, which is but still I would take Mike McCarthy. They had the options, and they hired Adam Gase, who was just fired from a team in their own division. So you saw him more than anybody else. He was in your division. How did you not realize this? All right. His first year, he got a pass because they went 7-9 because they played pee-wee football teams for half the season. All right. Then coming into this year, the offense is still struggling. The offensive line is terrible. He doesn't know how to use Le'Veon Bell. He is probably the best dual threat back in, I guess, his generational time from when he first started. All right. How do you not realize how to get him touches? Yes, you might hand the ball off to him, but what does it matter when he's running 1st and 10 into a line that can't block anybody? Then all the receivers stink. Sam Darnold has regressed tremendously. He got Joe Douglas the job. And Adam Gase doesn't even like to talk to the media. He fights with the media. Do you know what he said today about Le'Veon Bell? That his usage of him is now irrelevant because he got rid of him. No, I want to know why you did not use him the way you were supposed to. How do you not use a man of this talent? Why is Frank Gore getting more touches? Why? Sunday we have Joe Flacco and Frank Gore starting. Can you believe that? Frank Gore and Joe Flacco, like this is 2009. You just drafted a quarterback in the 4th round to be Sam's backup QB of the future. Why is he not in the damn football game? You drafted LaMichael Pirine in the 3rd round. Why is he not getting more carries? You even said that you didn't want to take touches away from Pirine, but he doesn't get touches to begin with. I do not understand. Adam Gase has a personal vendetta against his players. They're always hurt, and this goes back to his Miami days. Why does Chris Johnson not see this? We see it. Paul sees it. Travis sees it. Declan sees it. People on the hit list see it.
I see it.
The NFL, why does nobody see it? I do not understand. I'm getting red. I'm redder than Carl's shirt and Paul's hat right now because this doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. What do they see every Sunday? I don't even have to watch games to know that this team stinks when they're getting blown out by 20 plus. I do not understand. When does it end? This team needs a big overhaul. They need to get rid of everyone.
I just want to throw something out there because I feel Charlie's frustration.
Never seen him like that.
No, I know. I saw him like that last week. I think. You know what? I think this was worse than the Yankees one, right, Declan? I think this one was a lot worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I only got one thing for you, Charlie. I know I got this hat on, but the reality is, it's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse going on right now in East Rutherford, and it's a damn shame. And you, as a Jets fan, you have every right to be frustrated, my friend. It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Okay, Trav, box office. How do we fix this? I mean, I clearly Gase has to go, but after
that's
that,
first
what's
step.
next?
First step.
That's the first step. But what else could they do, possibly to even salvage the season or even salvage a franchise?
I mean, let's not talk about salvaging the season. The season's over because then I highly doubt Adam. The sad part about it is you don't see where a win comes for this team this season. That's the sad part right there. But you said you got the draft picks for Jamal Adams, so hopefully you sit there and use that right. You're gonna be. I'm on the fence on what do you do with Sam Darnold at this point. I mean, do you try and trade him for? I mean, if you're in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, do you try and trade Darnold and take Trevor Lawrence? But why bring Trevor Lawrence into this? Don't ruin another quarterback. I mean,
can I just before Dak gets in here, I just want to throw something out there. Don't you think it's a bit odd that a franchise would allow Adam Gase to part ways with his best player on offense and defense, not technically answer the question, as Chuck alluded to earlier, right? Blows off the media. They sit out a guy in Sam Darnold who they just allowed to play, who was able to play for a 40-year-old quarterback who shouldn't be in the sport. Why is Sam Darnold even get a pass, right? I mean, we've all witnessed what we've seen with Darnold before. We made excuses for Sam Darnold, right? We did what they do all the time for these quarterbacks. They didn't make excuses for Lamar Jackson. They didn't make excuses for Mike Vick. They didn't make excuses for Donovan McNabb. And I'm not here to paint the race color, but here's what I'm going to say. You don't think it's odd that you have a team willing to leave $20 million on the table in dead money to get rid of a guy that you're not even using, right? If anything, you could have benched Le'Veon Bell. Right? So you put him on the streets yesterday. In the middle of a practice, you fired him. You fired him on his day off. Right? And Sam Darnold is just.
We going back to Friday. Right? We going back to Friday.
Let me answer that because the cupboard is bare. We all know. We don't really know what Sam Darnold truly is yet because there's no weapons there. His coach is terrible. So in some way he kind of gets a pass.
McNabb, absolutely not.
No, wait, let me finish.
Fitzpatrick went years with no weapons.
To bring some of the names you had up. Donovan McNabb, he didn't have any weapons, but he had Andy Reid. Who else did
Listen. Manny is telling you box office to apologize right now. He's saying to apologize.
Oh, okay, all right. Hold on. Manny,
you know, before we get to that, Declan's been so patient and quiet.
Right.
Deck, go ahead, man.
Let that cook.
Nobody wants to hear what a Giants fan has to say anymore, and that's sad and true. But what I will say here about Adam Gase, Greg's calling for me to rip him. I'm going to rip him. It won't be that hard, considering we added Le'Veon Bell to the book club of people who, NFL skill players especially that have had issues with him. They're going to be meeting in the stands like Baker Mayfield's book club in Cleveland, whether it's Jay Ajayi, Jarvis Landry, Jamal Adams, Ryan Tannehill especially, who's now a franchise quarterback in Tennessee. Lev Bell yesterday. What happened?
Kenyon Drake.
Absolutely.
Devontae Parker.
Kenyon Drake, Parker.
Mike Gesicki.
Who's now playing good.
Lamar Miller too.
The names go on and on. Which is why, Paul, I'm sorry, Declan, which is why you can't really criticize Darnold because players regress under Gase. It's proven.
I'm with Chuck on this one. I'm sorry to go against you, Paul, but I have to with Sam Darnold here. And I understand, Donovan McNabb. We don't make excuses for a lot of guys, and I totally get your point because the sad reality is that it's pretty relevant. Dwayne Haskins, I personally don't think he's great, but we don't see the excuses being made for him as there are for Daniel Jones. So I will throw that out there. As far as Sam Darnold goes, that line is terrible. They can't block anybody. Jeff Smith sounds like the weatherman on Eyewitness News because I think the weatherman on Eyewitness News is named Jeff Smith. We got random guys playing receiver. We got Frank Gore, who's about 90 years old, running the ball. Joe Flacco's the backup, whatever. Sam Darnold's hurt. I don't know why they don't put in the young kid, James Morgan from FIU, as Chuck said. We're going to have to make excuses if we look at Adam Gase as the head coach, the amount of players he's ruined. Like, part of me almost hopes that, they do ship Sam Darnold to a team like Pittsburgh or something, let him sit for a year with Ben, or even just ship him anywhere so he can be in a position to succeed in the slightest. Sam Darnold has shown great moments his rookie year, although he did have an interception total that was a little bit too high, but then again, a lot of rookies, that's typical. His rookie year, he showed you something. Last year, he didn't show you much, although he did have an above 500 record. This year, he's showing you nothing at all, but who on the Jets really is showing you anything? It's a tough environment to succeed. They let Le'Veon Bell, who's produced probably at one of the higher rates in the NFL in the 2010s, they let him walk for nothing. They couldn't get a 7th-round draft pick for him. It's just ridiculous to me personally to see it. I'll let everybody else kind of get going here.
Before we get going, because I know we got a couple minutes. I just wanted to give everyone the standings. Travis, I just want to give everyone the standings on the predictions picks. Rick is still in the lead.
Week last week, baby.
You did, but you're still in 4th place though. Rick has 39 in 1st place. Travis is in 2nd at 36. Ray is in 3rd at 34. and MVP, you're in 4th at 32. And Womack and Travis are tied right now, 27 apiece, going into week 6. So just giving everyone the update. Rick is still in the lead right now. Travis is necking. He's right there, 3 more picks. I think the advantage is Rick is not losing any points as much. And going by off, Rick had 9 wins last week. So he has to slow down in order for you guys to catch up. You guys can keep playing catch up all season, but Rick has to make some false predictions, and he hasn't been able to do that in 5 weeks. That's all I'm saying.
I got a solution to slow Rick down. We're going to disconnect his Wi-Fi.
Let me hit one more point. Let me hit one more point on the Bell thing.
Okay.
I'm not in New York, so I don't see the local coverage of it. But on the national shows, I'm seeing a narrative being switched.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people are starting to come at Bell for some reason. Is it because the Jets don't get a lot of national coverage and they don't know what's really going on there?
Do you know why, Travis?
Why?
Do you know why? Because the Jets probably have the worst beat writers in the NFL, and they take any chance they could to attack the team. Rich Cimini does it. Brian Costello does it. Manish Mehta got his credentials revoked because all he does is take shots at the team. Everything about the Jets is terrible. It's laughable.
Okay.
And my frustration, which really digs down, is I really don't get. I don't think Adam Gase is getting fired anytime soon because he has more, because his hands are all over the Jets more than we realize. This is his general manager. The acting owner right now loves him. So I think he's here to stay, and I think that's why he gets a pass with the media, because there are no repercussions. He's not worried about his job being lost because he has everybody in his back pocket.
Okay, guys, real quick, let's touch upon the other top story after week 5 we had is Dak Prescott. You hate to see that happen to any athlete. Prayers out to him and his family, especially what he's dealing with. I know his middle brother, took his life early on this year. So, prayers out to Dak that he has a speedy recovery. But what do the Cowboys do now? Paul?
It's unfortunate. I'm on the record for saying I thought Dak should have took that contract. The 5 times they offered him the contract, north of $30 million a year. Worst case scenario, obviously, hindsight speaking, this is exactly what took place. I'm very curious to see what the Jones family does. I mean, they've been out there pretending to talk big game. Dak's still our quarterback of the future. But let's see it, right? Because there will be no greater accountability to be had if they do not take care of Dak, considering they still say he is their QB of the future. So I'm curious. The smart money says they move on from Dak Prescott. I don't know how salvageable Andy Dalton, who is the highest paid backup in the NFL, I don't know what he can do. I'm hoping, you get a vintage Andy Dalton and he can get you into the playoffs in that weak division. But I'm curious to see what happens. But history tells me that they'll be drafting a quarterback in the first round, one of the plethora of great quarterbacks that are out there. They won't pick up the phone and call Colin Kaepernick, who's an easy choice. They won't pick up the phone and call for Jameis Winston, who could be another viable option. They won't do any of those things that you think a team that has championship aspirations would do. So I'm curious to see what happens in Dallas.
All right, just around the room, Chuck, real quick thoughts on Dak.
I mean, it sucks. I think Paul hit around the head. I believe he should have took the contract when he got one. It wasn't like the Cowboys were lowballing him, but I think they offered him a pretty reasonable thing. They're going to ride the season out with Dalton. That's why they gave him the 2-year, $14 million contract or whatever it was. But it's very key to see what they do after this season. Now, first we got to see if Dak's even going to be able to play, which I hope that he does. But will they give him the contract? And listen, the Cowboys can always go after Sam Darnold. If Jerry wants to get on the horn and give me a first, I'll take it at this point. But it's very interesting to see. I don't think they're going to trade for anybody in season because the options really aren't out there. And I think 6-7 wins could definitely win you that division because it's absolutely horrible. So I don't think they're going to panic for this year. But going forward with the Cowboys, and I think they got more holes on that team than we actually realize. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out.